Are we experiencing a second Gilded Age? Project by Paige Charette in Mrs. Sullivan's 6th period U.S. history class. What was the Gilded Age?
The Gilded Age was the time period following the Reconstruction era, lasting from the 1870s to the early 1900s. Mark Twain first describes this as a Gilded Age, meaning that the period was glittering on the surface but corrupt underneath. This was a period of high wealth and extreme poverty, corrupt government, and booming industry, as well as improvements in transportation and communication, meaning information was traveling faster than ever. But the question is, how does this relate today? Are we experiencing a second Gilded Age?
Gilded Age versus Modern Day Checklist. Some similarities between the Gilded Age and the modern era that will be explained in this PowerPoint are the extreme gap between the rich and the poor, major technological advancements, and immigration.
Income inequality and the gap between the rich and poor. During the Second Gilded Age, there was an extreme gap between the rich and the poor. The quality of life was high for those who could afford it, while those in poverty had almost nothing to get by on. This resulted in two extremes. You were either extremely wealthy or in extreme poverty. Poor during the Gilded Age. The poverty-stricken during the Gilded Age lived lives of little luxury. History.com described their existence as follows. The poor were crammed into filthy tenement apartments, struggled to put a loaf of bread on the table, and accompanied their children to a sweatshop each morning where they faced a 12-hour or longer work day. These conditions existed due to the influx of people in the cities. With new changes occurring in most cities, most people wanted to live there, resulting in limited housing, with slums and tenements being placed where most people lived. Rich during the Gilded Age. The wealthy during the Gilded Age lived lives of luxury. History.com describes their lifestyle as follows. The wealthy lived in opulent homes, dined on succulent food, and showered their children with gifts. The fact that they were so high above the poor was justified by social Darwinism, stating that the richest and most successful humans were the fittest and deserved the lives of luxury that they lived, while the poor deserved the lives of barely surviving that they had gotten. Modern-day rich versus poor. We live in situations very similar to those the people during the Gilded Age lived in. People who are wealthy live in lavish conditions, with millions of mansions filling the United States. Houses and living conditions are extravagant to the point where they are almost unnecessary and used to display how much wealth the person or family has. On the contrary, the poor can't afford the luxuries that the rich can. An important study on U.S. poverty by Luke Schaefer and Catherine Eden shows this. Using an alternative data set for the official U.S. poverty measure, Schaefer and Eden shows that millions of Americans live on less than $2 a day. This places America behind many countries poverty-wise, like Russia, the West Bank and Gaza, Jordan, urban Argentina, urban China, and Thailand, many of which are recipients of American foreign aid. Using this information, we can conclude that the Gilded Age and modern times aren't that different when it comes to being poor and being rich. Although conditions have changed greatly and the poor don't live in slums filled to the brim with human waste anymore, there is still this giant gap between the wealthy and the poverty-stricken. The wealthy live lavish lifestyles and are able to afford the lives of luxury that they live, while the poor struggle from day to day hoping to obtain a lifestyle where they can live without worrying about money again. Technological advancements during the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age was an age of invention and innovation. Many modern-day accommodations like the telephone, skyscrapers, multi-floor buildings, light bulbs, and electricity were created during the Gilded Age. Cities and industry boomed due to this, causing more inventions and more creations. Things like elevators, bridges, and canals were also created. The Transcontinental Railroad. One of these major advancements was the Transcontinental Railroad. This railroad connected the east of the United States to the west of the United States. It was finally created in 1869 and led to the rapid settlement of the western United States. It also made the transportation of goods across long distances easier. Modern-day technological advancements. Now we have created even new, faster, and more efficient ways of communicating and transporting. With the invention of modern cell phones, you can contact people all around the world in an instant. With modern forms of transportation, like cars with highways and airplanes, you can travel all over the world in a fraction of the time it took people years ago. Overall, our current generation is constantly creating new ways to make things more efficient. Comparison of modern day and the Gilded Age. Overall, both in modern day and during the Gilded Age, there were many technological advancements. Both these times were periods of extreme advancement where the lives of the people were altered or changed in some way. That made people's lives more easy as well, making grand strides in communication and transportation. People were able to start traveling easier and talking to people who they weren't able to see. Immigration during the Gilded Age. With all of the new advancements during the Gilded Age, giant amounts of people moved into America and into their cities.
People who immigrated into the West were mostly Greek, Italian, Polish, Slavic, Serb, and Russian. This influx of people resulted in little housing, slums, disease, and cheap labor. Slums. When it comes to new immigrants moving into America, the amount of space that the country had for them filled up quickly. This resulted in the creation of slums. Slums were tightly crowded areas of cities where families were packed together, human waste covered the streets, and disease was rampant and easily caught. Cleaning the slums. The slums were finally cleaned and made safely inhabitable by two men, Jacob Reese and George Waring. These two men worked to make slums more safe and well known by the rich. Reese took pictures of these slums, revealing them and their horrors to the wealthy, hoping to get a reaction from them, pushing for change. Waring and his sanitation workers called White Ducks did a deep clean of the slums, removing all human waste, improving water quality, and creating sewers to remove all the human waste. Immigration in modern-day America. America is facing an immigration crisis. People from all around the world view America as a safe haven from the countries they are fleeing from. This has resulted in people from all around the world immigrating into America in hopes to receive a new life. But because of America's new strict immigration regulations, people have begun to immigrate illegally. This has raised political disputes on what the solutions should be. Comparison of modern-day immigration and immigration during the Gilded Age. When it comes to immigration, both time periods faced a change because of it. In modern day, that change is still occurring. People are still deciding how we should face the problems that we have due to immigration. But in the Gilded Age, this change was the creation of cities and ways to clean cities and slums. In conclusion, immigration in modern times and during the Gilded Age resulted in major change for the country. Concluding. When it comes to the question, is America experiencing a second Gilded Age? What is the right answer? Well, there is no right answer. America goes through different periods of time experiencing different complications and different struggles, as well as different forms of success. But when you look at the data and characteristics of both the Gilded Age and now, it is clear to see that we could, in fact, be experiencing a second Gilded Age. We fit under the same main categories that define the Golden Age: the extreme difference between poverty and wealth, technological advancements, and immigration crises, as well as many others. The nation is experiencing success while also seeing the consequences behind the success, just like during the Gilded Age. Sure, it's easier to point out the differences. We have a better established middle class, the inventions are different, and we don't accept immigrants like they did during the Gilded Age. But when you look on the surface and just define America in its simplest terms, we fit right in with the Gilded Age, and we are currently undergoing a second one.